What up, virtual people? Welcome to episode 41 of VCR Redux. We take your favorite franchises out of the analog era and bring them back to 2022. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, joined as always by my co-host with the most, film professor Ian Klink.
How you doing, everybody?
And we have two radical guests on the show tonight. First up, our own honorary third host from Rick Barth and the Line. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. Mickey Torres is on the show.
What's up, everyone?
And rounding out this righteous crew, Fandom Spotlite's own musical expert. She's a member of the Vancouver Master Chorale and soon to be performing at Carnegie Hall. Jazz Bealby's on the show.
Hey.
Yay! Thank you so much for coming back on. Well, it's Groundhog Day.
What was that? You did like
Again.
the robot. You did the robot, but you did like the robot cowboy, where it's like, I want to be a cowboy.
Yeah, I was a cowboy.
It's Groundhog Day. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
If I could
It's
relive the
Groundhog
day over
Day.
again.
Again. And though we may not be in Punxsutawney, our VCR's nostalgia meter is set all the way to 1993, so we can bring you Groundhog Day 2, Kill Phil. But before we can embark on such an ambitious quest, we need to talk about how Groundhog Day came into our lives and what we love about it. We'll start with Jazz, but that also goes for you guys watching at home. Hit us up in the live chat with your Groundhog Day tales. So, Jazz, how did you discover Groundhog Day? We talking VHS?
It was probably just like on that old school, what they would used to call the boob tube television sets. It was just on every year, all day, every day. And I mean, that's how I came into it. It was always on Groundhog's Day, so it's what you did.
I feel like if you had cable or like satellite or access to any of those things in the 90s, there wasn't just Groundhog Day. Like it was like all year. There was, if you had enough cable channels, this movie was always on.
Oh yeah, especially like when it first came out for sure. But like it,
yeah.
Thinking of it more now today, it's constantly on like TNT or USA all day, every day, because they do that stuff now. It seems like.
Yeah, it does seem like it should be the Christmas story of, this time of the year, or whatever, TBS or TNT, whoever does that. Mickey, Ian, do you guys remember the first time you saw Groundhog Day?
This would definitely be an HBO-er. HBO. But I do remember this being at HBO on Saturday night. Like the world premiere on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Movie.
Yeah. Big nights. Yeah, the HBO Saturday night premieres.
I really, honestly, like you got a new movie every Saturday.
Yeah, that was a fucking huge deal. And I was psyched like every time. Even though usually I had access to this stuff in the video store earlier, it was like, oh, I didn't get to it yet. Now Saturday, I'm going to tape it and watch it for free,
But you only knew that because you had the TV guide or the whatever like that would tell you.
The fucking preview channel.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Remember the
or
preview
the preview channel too. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, dude. I used to just like session the preview channel. In fact, I just saw someone I think has a YouTube channel that's just preview channel footage. And like I went zen watching this. I was like,
you gotta send me that. I could watch that for hours.
Dude, exactly. It takes you back. Just reading like the shit that was on back in the day gets me hyped. So I'm guessing with Mac, I'm going to just take a bold guess and say that Mickey was on a date when he saw Groundhog Day.
You are correct.
Oh.
I did see this in the movies with a girl.
I really hope she walked up and it was like, oh, you. What's up, Carol?
That would have won points with me. I'm like, you do that too?
What's up, Mickey?
Oh man, in typical VCR Redux tradition, Mickey was always on a date when he saw these movies, or it was HBO and with a date. But I love it. That's why you're Mac Daddy, Mickey Torres.
Here's what ticks me off. Do you know I went 4 years of high school? I couldn't even get like one date.
Oh,
how?
Well, you're now a married man and a hunk, so you're making up for lost time.
I mean, it's fair, but I'm just saying, like, 4 years. But
I had plenty of dates in high school, and now I'm all alone.
Yeah.
I do want to.
Oh, wait a minute! Wait, the show's over. What up, virtual podcasters? this is VCR Redux, blah blah blah.
They're talking about their personal lives.
Because it's Groundhog Day. It starts over.
So I do want to touch on the chat. We have a very special
Chris just
Canadian.
ignored that. Just ignored that with a passion.
What? Oh, did I talk over it? I might have missed it.
No, see, it started over, right? Like,
over.
We fell asleep, we woke up, it's a new thing,
Oh, this is take two. Okay, now we're on take two, day one. I get you. Welcome to VCR Redux again.
We should have actually coordinated that all out. We should have literally every one of us shut off our cameras and then restart.
There's always next year.
We can always break that fourth wall.
We can do that.
We didn't shatter it enough right now. Anyway, I do want to touch on the chat before we get to my first time with Groundhog Day. We have a very special Canadian friend in the chat. Roy IMVU says, hi, I thought I was a real person this whole time. Another very, very special friend of mine, someone I grew up with. My friend Ryan Coppola is in the chat. Says, couldn't avoid it when I was growing up. Not a bad thing at all. Couldn't agree more. And so stoked to have you in the chat, buddy. I'm sure we could get into some hijinks of stories of things that we've done back in the 90s, but we'll try and table that at least for the second half hour. Also in the
fun
chat,
times.
Yeah, some good friends tuning in.
The 90s were a bodacious time. I don't care what anybody says.
I'll tell you what. Ryan Coppola and I had some really great times in the late 90s. He's definitely one of those dudes made that time better for me. Anyway, also in the chat, Angie and Mike Saunders, the mashup making genius duo. Get a little, hey, what's up? I love this movie, VHS, my time. Mike says Groundhog Day is a movie that improves the older you get, and I can't remember if it was VHS or cable. I feel like, well, I'll get to my first story, but I feel like this is one of those movies that is like so ingrained in cable. Again, not to retread on what I already said, but also in the chat, Fandom Spotlite, I saw it in theaters. It was great. And Devin Zane, hello everyone, great to be here with you guys as always. VHS for me. I'll find ways to watch this classic vintage Harold Ramis masterpiece. And again, thank you all for tuning in. Some more coming in. Gold's Code. Ned Ryerson got the shingles real bad. I almost didn't graduate.
Ned Ryerson?
Yeah. I asked your sister the prom, but you told me not to take her. You would beat me up. Needle nose Ned the head. He's got the Ned lines down pat. And Dustin Nino, again from Retrofiend Radio, makers of the finest canon and martial arts documentaries on the internet, says it was HBO all day for me. Yes. To which I definitely concur. It's one of those, like, just every time it was on, you never felt the urge to tune out. Even if you watch it earlier that day, you're like, yeah, I'll just watch it again. So my first time,
and just so people know, we're not sponsored by Home Box Office. Like, we're not. No. But, I wish we were.
But we can
shout
be.
out Home Box Office. Watching.
All right.
Put us on. We'll do 5-minute formats of this show in between movies. Like the old days. Oh yes, we'll rock that fucking theme. Was the best. So the first time I saw Groundhog Day was kind of interesting. Like almost any other weekend of 1993, me and two of my best friends went to the theater and we saw the new Bill Murray movie. Actually, I think we saw Homeward Bound, and then we were waiting to get picked up, and we went in and just watched like all of Groundhog Day, because that's what you would do. You would see 2 movies back then. But at any rate, we come out of seeing Groundhog Day, and there are the 2 third-grade teachers. We were in 3rd grade at the time, from our elementary school. And for some reason, they chased us around the movie theater. It was a very strange and fear-inducing, strange thing, being like accosted by your teacher in public in your own sacred place, my church, my movie theater. This is like, this is an attack.
They
I feel like there's a story there that you're not telling all the details about.
Yeah.
Well, they were just mean. I don't know. They were mean old women, and they had
why
no
would
love
they
in their
chase
heart.
you? What'd you do?
As soon as we saw them, we just like ran away because we were like, oh my God. And then they chased after us. And like, it was just weird. It was a strange accosting, like being paparazzi'd by your own teachers.
It was the 90s. It was a weird place.
But that was Mrs. Englehart and Mrs. Rastage. And I'll tell you about Mrs. Englehart was so
They got
cool.
named. They got named.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Shout out
you are blowing up
there.
their spot.
I know you're watching Englehart. But this is a teacher so cruel. When I was sick with chicken pox, she brought homework to me. She like looked up my address and drove homework to my house and was like, I want to make sure you're not just sitting around. And I was like, wow. you have never been satisfied in your life, have you? You're just so mean. This is nothing but evil. Anyway, so it kind of put
I like this teacher.
I do too, actually. Like as an adult, that's like actually a really cool move. It's like, oh, you're sick. Here's your
hardcore.
stay up to date. Yeah,
that's a Mr. Hand move.
Now, of course, as a kid, I would hate that too. I totally get it, but yeah.
I'll tell you what.
As a teacher, I'm thriving on this story. Yeah,
Mrs. Englehart made Mr. Hand look like Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, Mr. Hand shows up.
The gloves are off. All right, it's been 29 years, Englehart.
I calculated you owe me 5 hours and 64 minutes of used class time in history.
What kind of bullshit is that? But also in the chat, I am being scorned for running. No running. Another name in the chat, Lori Taylor. Thank you so much for tuning in, Lori. Good to see you there. Gold Code also says Bill Murray is shot, stabbed, crushed, electrocuted, drowned, and lives. Vigo the Carpathian also died in a similar manner and came back. Coincidence?
Ouch.
That is a very interesting theory.
Well,
Maybe
he did
Day,
say that I'm a god.
Yes, he did.
He did say he said, I'm not the god, but I am a god.
Maybe Groundhog Day 2 this whole time has secretly been the origin story of Vigo the Carpathian. And it's been right there in front of our face. Harold Ramis and Bill Murray.
Somebody use some technology and put Bill Murray's face on Vigo.
On Vigo. Deep fake that.
Deep fake.
We know a few people in the chat who are capable of such things. So obviously the thing that I guess it's not obvious, but what a lot of people might not know about this movie is it did end the partnership between Harold Ramis and Bill Murray, which is a shame because I put it up there with like Carpenter and Russell, Scorsese and De Niro, like these combinations of writer, director, and actor that just produce nothing but gold. And if you look at Bill Murray's career pre the Wes Anderson years, every single good thing he ever did came from Harold Ramis, with the exception of Scrooged. Literally Stripes, Meatballs, National Lampoons, Saturday Night Live.
Seen The Razor's Edge?
The Razor's Edge, yeah, Ghostbusters. Thank you, Caddyshack. Let's talk about The Razor's Edge for a sec here.
No, let's not talk about The Razor's Edge ever.
Yeah, right. I rest my case on The Razor's Edge with that right there. But it's a shame, and I've heard that they had different, sort of differing opinions as to how the movie should be. I think Bill Murray was pushing for a more dramatic take, and Harold Ramis wanted him to kind of stick to the comedy.
Well, you did get for me, this movie was it's like 3 different movies in one. There was drama, it turns into a black comedy, and then it's somewhere in there, it turns into a rom-com.
Yep. Absolutely.
So it literally, and then it flips back to dark comedy. It's like it goes back and forth. So in some aspects, this movie was very bipolar. It's just kind of weird.
I know what you mean, but I also feel like it's all kind of stitched together with the notion of like a high concept comedy, if you will. A movie like Big or like Dave or like Pleasantville, or like something ridiculous happens, and you kind of have to
the
build,
90s.
Yeah, the late 80s into the 90s, that was definitely a thing.
Yeah.
But so as bipolar as it gets, they never wait too long to remind you that, like, okay, yeah, he's been here a while, he knows everyone now, he's every literally like 30 seconds or something to remind you that he is getting wiser, he's changing, or he's learning, or what, the time has passed.
He's learning new ways of how to become, it's literally it's the cool aspect of it is that he's learning how to become a better person.
Yeah.
But he's also taking those moments to be a very bad person too.
True. I mean, that's the dark comedy side. The dark comedy, literally, like what would you do? And if you could relive the whole day and nothing that you did matter, like he got to do everything that you probably would want to do, but are afraid to do because you would be, caught robbing money, or driving a car off for a cliff, all this stuff, killing himself all these times. He got to do all these things, and there was no consequences.
How far do you think he went?
So
I think we all ask that question.
That is like the question. I agree. I've heard in several clips or read in several interviews that Harold Ramis said he lived there for 10,000 years. That's how long it took him to get it right. And I never would have thought that, having watched the movie, I would have thought like, okay, he was there for like a year or 2 years or something. You know what I mean? Tops.
Well, it would have been cool if you had that kind of caption on it, like 10 years later or like whatever.
Oh, like day like, 2.
Yeah, day 2. Like if you had the marker, that would hit home. And that would be like, I guess you would, I'll be honest. Like when I first saw this movie in the theaters, I did not like it. I was just like, this movie is dumb. I hated it. I disliked the movie. And it took many, many years of like, before I didn't like Andy McDowell. It was a whole thing.
Oh, I love Andy McDowell.
I just want teenage Mickey to like stand up and just be like, and just like walk out of the theater. Like, I really want to see that. I don't know why.
Remember, I was on a date, so I was happy to be there.
we fly on this movie. Let's go, Becky.
I thought it was crap. I thought it was crap.
I'm picturing Mickey taking a different girl to this movie every day in February of 1993.
There's people right there.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day 2, a love story.
It does raise that question. It can get that could be a dark thing because there's that moment in the movie where he just goes, he starts to do whatever he wants, the toaster in the bathtub, all that kind of stuff.
He's literally committing suicide every day.
Laughs,
yeah, and we're like we're supposed to laugh at this. I'm like, the dude just like jumped off a building.
Again, though, I think that is part of Bill Murray's special brand, that like he could make you laugh through that shit. Like if it was Chevy Chase starring in Groundhog Day, like that wouldn't really be funny, and like there's a lot of things that wouldn't have been funny in the movie. Not to diss Chevy Chase. I know you're watching Chevy.
It's definitely a choice, though. Definitely a choice. I don't feel like if I was in that situation that eventually I would want to like kill myself and I would attempt to kill myself every day. I don't think I would go that far.
I don't know. I mean, I believe that part of it because you start out in Punxsutawney is just absolute hell on earth. It's like cold. It's February. You're snowed in. You do these people that like he clearly has a disdain for. Can't stand people making small talk and this and that. And then after you've robbed money and he's basically met every person in town. But yeah, you're gonna go insane. You're gonna want to kill yourself.
I have to agree because I mean I'm just sitting there thinking, he's living this day over and over and over again. There comes a point where you absolutely have to hate it.
Yeah.
So you might as well just find a way to end it. And there comes the time where it's like you just every day, maybe this way will work, or maybe this way will work. Which it obviously doesn't, but at least you have the next day in this case.
I think I would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning the next day. And after a while of this, I would get up at 6 o'clock, go directly to an airport and fly somewhere else.
I was just thinking that, like, I've always wondered that. How far did he ever get? Was there a moment
That's what
where
I
he
would
just
do.
got
Like it's
out?
it's obvious like he waited too long. Like he keep like when the storm's gonna happen. When you can't go on the road anymore. Why don't you at 6 o'clock in the morning leave?
Well, here's the theory, though. I've kind of thought about that a little bit. And then I think, well, like a regular person, he may have some degree of fear, which eventually he would get over. But initially, he would think, okay, well, if I do get out and I do escape this time loop, then I'm going to lose my job. They're going to fire me for not covering Groundhog Day, which is they sent me out there to do.
In the van, he says, I'm letting you know something. You're the first people to know, but I'm leaving the station. So he doesn't care about his job.
That's true. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So I'm like, get on a plane, fly out, go to Florida. It's cold. It's warm out there.
I mean, I think that's probably something that like might have been a deleted scene or something, or maybe a deleted, like, scripted but not shot. Because it's just like, it's kind of boring to see him like, get a, plane, and, he makes it out. He goes to Miami and he lays down in his bed in Miami and then wakes up the next day and he's still in Punxsutawney again.
I would actually love that.
That would have been hilarious.
Actually would have loved
it
that.
It would have been. He goes to Vegas.
Just once to show you he can't escape it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he goes
he's
to
in a
like, I
different
would
room,
go to
and
Vegas.
he like unplugs the alarm clock in there. He does all these things to try and like make it different.
Yeah.
Actually could have been kind of cute and funny.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say a moment that I always loved in this movie, and it's a very meta thing. Like that's I think the most fascinating part. We've already been talking about this movie for 20 minutes, and it's really just we're all fascinated with the idea of the movie, which just tells you one, they had a great idea, and it's such a simple idea. Just repeat.
And nobody's ever really duplicated it either.
They have. They've tried.
I mean, it has inspired like some shows. Like I keep going back. I kept thinking back to Supernatural, where Sam is in this loop of hell where Dean dies every day. So I kind of I went back to that and thinking maybe that was inspired by Groundhog Day.
I think there was a Buffy episode too that kind of did that
every like supernatural sitcom, not sitcom, but drama show has done an episode like this, and a lot of horror movies, a lot of different franchises have done it.
Happy Birthday, whatever that was.
Oh yeah, Happy Death Day.
Happy Death Day was basically
Groundhog Day. Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise.
Edge of Tomorrow, yeah.
It's become like a thing.
But look how long it took to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously Tom Cruise being the star helps the movie get greenlit. If he's not the star, I don't know if they would have spent that money on like a movie that's kind of that high concept and that expensive without a super big name.
Well, I will say if I can, what I was saying, my part I love in the movie that just every time I think of this movie, this scene pops in my head, and it's when he catches the boy out of the tree, and there's it's one scene where he's like, "Shoom." You never say thank you. You never say thank you every time.
Yeah.
and I love
it. Tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah, and he loves to save that kid, and he's so angry at that kid for not.
You know what?
Thank you.
That scene, like, seems out of place. Like that seems like a scene that was filmed, and it was like kind of like. Oh, it was cut and then it was put back in, because when did that happen? Was it on his walk to the piano lesson that this was happening? Because if you look at the environment, if you're looking at the environment, it doesn't match any other location that he was in. The only one that I could think of was on his way to piano lessons, but you never saw that until later. Like I would think that would be something that you would have seen on the first time of him going to piano lessons.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's sort of like a payoff, but it didn't have the setup beforehand.
But I love.
If you look at the old man has a setup beforehand. He turns him down for money a lot of times before he ever stops, and
everything pretty much has a setup except for certain things. I mean, that's one of them.
That's true.
Probably the old ladies in the car with the tire that came out of left field a little bit too.
A little bit, yeah, I guess. Again, a lot of this stuff was probably filmed but just cut out for pace and stuff like that, and like not going to Miami or Vegas or wherever is again probably to just keep the story all contained in Punxsutawney, because that's sort of a thematic element. At the end of it, he chooses to stay there. He can finally go wherever and do whatever he wants, and he's got the girl of his dreams, but I think we'll stay here, let's rent and then we'll look to buy. I think that's kind of it, and that was also sort of a 90s theme of like, the 80s were all about the materialism, and the 90s you sort of got to like, oh no, like Doc Hollywood, Groundhog Day, like choose to live in these like podunk parts because the people are better, and they're real, I don't know.
Highlighting small towns, basically.
Yeah, it was sort of a 90s trope.
Yeah, it kind of was. Yeah.
The beauty of small town America. But I should touch on the chat real quick. There is some talk of deleted scenes in there. So let me back this up just a sec. And some love for Mr. Hand as well. Nothing wrong with having a little Fandom spotlight in our time. Same universe as Ghostbusters. And he says
our time.
I saw Meatballs 2 far superior. Sort of a
whoa.
That's in the chat. That's not
whoa. First off, you are the coolest person ever if you acknowledge Meatballs part II. All right, let's just get that first off. Secondly,
that's true. They are Roman numeralized.
Where did that come from?
Gold's Code, our buddy Sean Gold. You remember Sean? He was on the show.
Yeah, Sean.
Great screenwriter.
What is he referring to with Meatballs Part II?
That the Meatballs was better than this.
Mr. Hand, and they're all the same universe as Ghostbusters. You know, like we were saying, Groundhog Day is the Vigo Carpathian origin story.
Oh, okay.
And then I think he's throwing. Well, we were mentioning all the Harold Ramis movies too. Of which I think Meatballs is one that he contributed to. So definitely Ivan Reitman.
He did write. Yeah, he did write
yeah.
some of. Yeah, he ghostwrote some of Meatballs, I think.
Yeah, I think he wasn't credited or something. Maybe that's what it is.
Look, you say Meatballs, I get excited. Okay, like that's one of my favorite film series of all time.
Good to know. Good to know.
So interesting. Mike Saunders in the chat says he saw an interesting theory once. Ned cursed him the first time they met in the movie. Strangely, when he treats Ned nice, his fortunes turn positive. That is a great theory. I love that.
I didn't even think about that.
That's like up there with Ferris not existing and Ferris
not
Day
Ned
off.
is the devil. Like what?
Maybe.
Well, if he's a god,
no one reads the fine contract on those, all that insurance clause paperwork shit that you had to sign in the 90s. In there, Bill Murray may have signed his soul over to the devil to get out of this devil's paradigm, whatever piece of space-time continuum he's in. I will say though, because we were talking about this before, I usually don't like those looper type of episodes of things where they keep showing you the same shit over and over and over and over again. And Groundhog Day very smartly avoids all that. They give you the same, they may give you the same thing a few times, but they always change it up. It's never just like, oh, recycle that same footage from the last time. Roll the tape again, you know. No, there's always a reason to go back. And they only do it with a couple of things. You know, they only do it with like Ned Ryerson, the dishes breaking, and
the guy that comes up
we better
the
get
stairs.
going if we're gonna stay ahead of the weather. Like that kind of stuff.
Chris Elliott.
Chris Elliott.
I absolutely love Chris Elliott.
Do you remember his show? Does anybody in here?
Yes, I remember his show.
Oh my god.
I hated that show.
I love that show.
Look, but Vicky, I don't blame you for that because it was a weird show, but what an experiment that show was on TV.
Absolutely.
Dude, the early 90s.
No sense.
That's Fox. That was
early
Fox.
90s Fox.
Yeah, Fox made no sense.
Yep.
Dude, early 90s Fox is the fucking Wild West of TV.
That was the same time as Herman's Head.
Dude, Herman's Head was brilliant. Parker Lewis Can't Lose. The Game from Outer Space. Like, there was so much awesome shit. In Living Color, The Simpsons. Like,
In Living Color,
yeah, like you'd never seen shows like that before.
Fox was taking chances back then.
Oh yeah,
Fox was 90s Fox was legit. Everything since then, Fox is so good.
It's when they turned over too, because like, you know, Fox back in my day, you know, like early on was like old black and white movies and stuff like that, Kung Fu Theater, you know, monster like Godzilla, stuff like that, whatever like that. They didn't play anything like very newish, or they didn't have their own shows. And then somewhere in the 90s is when they over.
I know where it was. The Chevy Chase show. The Chevy Chase show.
Oh, the nighttime show, right? It was a nighttime show.
When the Chevy Chase show happened and bombed, Fox changed. Those were heads rolled on that day, and that studio went through turnaround.
I'm gonna have to agree with Chris on this one though, that it was the reality TV crap that started this hell that we have now.
Oh, well, that's what was the Paris Hilton show? That was like the first real
Simple
reality.
Life.
Simple Life really kind of that changed a lot of it.
Well, Real World. I always go back to
Real World was the first, but the first main, I think to me, the first time that really pop culture like broke through was that Simple Life. You know, that's
Simple Life.
You know.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the end of it all. But that is a crazy theory. I love that. Just a few more messages in the chat. Gold's Code again. Groundhog Day is the Dalai Lama's favorite movie, right behind American Ninja 2. I love that. Dalai Lama's got great taste. I won't argue there. A good buddy Devin Zane. The budget for Groundhog Day was 14.6 to 30 million. It brought in 105 million at the box office. So if I did refer to it as a flop before, I stand corrected. 105 million is no joke, no matter what, how you get it, especially in the 90s.
Well, it couldn't have taken much money to make the movie. I mean, it's pretty much the same set.
Somewhere between 14 to 30.
Yeah.
It's all in a small town. I think it was actually in Wisconsin, the town they shot it in. I don't think it was.
No, Chris, I'm surprised
Illinois.
You don't know that.
Oh, it was
Woodstock,
Illinois.
Woodstock,
Illinois. Yes, fucking A. Right before you said it, I knew it. I was like, oh,
Illinois.
God damn it. It was Woodstock. I drove through that town 1,000 million times in my life. Also, in the chat, Gold's Code says, in deleted scene, he read a new page of a book in a library for every day, and by the end of the movie, he had finished the entire library. Oh, wow, that's kind of cool. I'm sure Ian would have appreciated that scene still.
Oh, absolutely.
And we only got that, like, he was reading the book in the diner, and that's when he heard the classical music, and he decided, I want to go play piano, or try to learn how to play piano. So you only got that.
That's true. Yeah,
and he did.
That would have been a nice scene to have.
Yeah. And he did learn French to impress Rita.
Oh, that's true. That is one of my favorite, the tweaking your approach on Rita scene at the bar, sweet vermouth rocks with a twist. Like, I always like to say a prayer and drink to world peace, And then he gives he hangs his head. That gives an amen.
Amen. That's his that's like the dark comedy. That's the dirt bag, the dirt bag side. Because that
for
he
sure.
just starts to use like all this stuff. Like, he hooks up with that one girl, Nancy. And then it's
yeah. No. In 4th grade, or 12th grade, your English teacher was who?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's problematic. That would be canceled now.
Definitely.
Well, it's interesting. You can kind of connect in a weird way. Groundhog Day does kind of do the whole like the Highlander kind of thing. It's like they have all this time in the world that they can collect all this knowledge. That, that he can collect all these things and he can do all this stuff. And it's like it's fascinating that to the people in the diner, he does probably seem like a god. He knows all these things and facts about everybody. But again, with that 10,000 years thing, how often did he have to talk to every single person to find out all these details? To, maybe the movie, I think, did do that wrong. If he really wanted to emphasize that 10,000 years, I agree.
Again,
I think
not
they
say
did
that
do
it was
it
emphasized,
right.
but just that was the way they thought of it. That they imagined it was 10,000 years.
I guess it's also a memory thing too. I mean, did he is he got great memory? Is that why he remembers these things, or does he just like after he talks to them goes back and kind of writes this stuff down?
I kind of took it like, he kind of writes it down. Because I can't see him really remembering everything.
Yeah,
he's mementoed up all over his body. We just don't see it. That was a deleted scene.
Yeah. But
Barbara,
how cool would that have been if he did write it all down like in a journal or whatever like that, and Rita goes over there,
Mr. Belvedere at the end of every day.
One of those trips, and like he says like I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick or whatever like that, and she sees the book there. And
now I'm wondering.
The book would erase every day.
Exactly. That was gonna be my point.
It would,
but on that day though, it would have it wouldn't have like her whole life story, but it would have information from that day. Like maybe she did say
he could remember that though in that case.
Yeah, if you're only gonna remember it for that day, easy to just remember.
Isn't there a scene in the movie where he does do something where he writes it down and the next day?
No, he makes a mental note. He's like, no white chocolate, no fudge. Or something like that.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you like, would you call up all my girlfriends and figure stuff out about me? Like, is that what love is to you? Like, no. So we are past the half-hour point. It is time to start bringing on our pitches for Groundhog Day 2. It is a very tough nut to crack. I will start by saying that. It would be very, very hard, but sometimes those come out as some of our best VCR Reduxes.
I know.
So, I would like a twist. I did think about a twist. So he's so happy. He's so happy with Rita. Like, let's move here. We'll rent to start off, whatever like that. They're walking out and everything's empty and this and that, whatever the case may be. But it would be kind of like the dark comedy again. Like, and then maybe a couple minutes later, bang. It starts the next day, but now she's a part of it too.
I thought about that.
And he cool so now she's sucked in, and now they both he has to kind of convince her listen, we're living the same day over. I've been through this. And she's just like, I don't believe you, this and that, whatever the case may be. And then it starts all over again. And maybe that's just, it's dark comedy, but at the same time, it's their happily ever after too.
Oh my gosh,
they're together.
They got to fix their family. No, this should be years later, and it's just, everything is just broken, right? They got kids. Their kids are horrible, miserable.
They're run down. Oh, I like this. Yeah,
that's like Klink too.
Yeah,
Klink in
like,
a way.
It kind of, yeah. But it's just like you got to fix your kid. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That is Klink, though, isn't it?
It is Klink.
Yeah, the kid.
Klink and
Bill
Back
Murray,
to the Future.
If you have Bill Murray, though, I feel like you elevated above what Klink was.
Oh, yeah.
Initially,
obviously.
I was thinking like, have Bill relive his life again in perpetual hell for some reason. I can't really think of a good reason. But then I'm like, you know what? Maybe his kid or a kid could be doing this. And this could be the Bill Murray cameo or whatever to try. He can go find Bill Murray to help him with this somehow. Because I haven't gotten the whole thing through yet, but.
So here's what happens. Dr. Samuel Beckett quantum leaps into Bill Murray. And
are we sure that's not what happened?
Where's he been for 30 years? They're remaking this damn show. Where's Dr. Beckett been? I need to know. He's been in
fucking Punxsutawney. That's where he's been.
Although it would be kind of cool if you did the Groundhog's Day, but what you did was Bill Murray had to relive like all his life. Through his movies, everything else like that.
Oh,
he woke up.
Oh,
and
meta.
Meta.
That would be excellent.
And you could kind of make it a love letter to Harold Ramis too, because you could only do the Harold Ramis movies.
Oh man,
so he would have
to. Yeah.
So he wakes up one day and he's in like an army uniform, and this and that, and then like. You could do the CGI kind of thing maybe with like Harold Ramis, like
or something,
or whatever like that. And he's there, he's like, "Come on, buddy," or whatever like that. And he's just like, "What the?" He's like, "Harold, what are we doing?" He's like, "My name's not Harold," and then he has to play along to get out of this scenario. And then the next day he wakes up and he's like in Ghostbusters or something like that.
He's gotta get slimed,
yeah.
Oh, that's what.
It would be kind of cool.
So he's actually cool. Peter Venkman. It's Bill Murray having to live like Peter Venkman.
Having to live in his character.
When he gets through that adventure, wild. He goes into his next movie. Then he's got to be Frank Cross. Then he's got to be,
wow.
Yeah, Bob from What About? Yeah, okay, that's got some potential there. Very meta. That would be very much like a Netflix movie. Yeah.
That's like being John Malkovich crap there.
It could be, but
Spike Jones could fucking.
Yeah, come on, Spike. Yeah, Spike, you're listening. Yeah. Come on. Now.
Can you imagine like Bill Murray? I mean, like he's like the king of improv, but like, can you imagine him like doing that? Like just going through these roles again?
That'd be awesome.
I mean,
you
like
get more Venkman than you got in Afterlife. That's for sure.
Correct. I mean,
too soon.
But like, and don't spoil it for me. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh shit!
Get on it, sir.
Man, wow! It's only been 6 months, but okay. I'm fucking with you.
I like to
not on Blu-ray, Mickey. Come on now.
I like to let some things burn, especially if I'm not too hyped up on it.
He couldn't find a date to go see that movie.
Mickey just got around to checking out this hot new show, Miami Vice.
Yeah.
All the kids are talking about it. I'm sorry, Jazz. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just telling them that it's worth it. Just watch it already. It's good.
Oh
yeah. I'm gonna watch it. But like, I would like that. I'd be interested in like, Groundhog's Day, My Life. Wow. Groundhog's Day 2, My Life, or something like that. And it was like Bill Murray waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You could even have that stupid fucking song playing. I Got You, Babe. And then he's like, it already trips him. Like that already triggers. Like, why is this playing? And then it just goes from there.
And I love this. Only if my Sam, our Al to my Sam in this movie, to use Quantum Leap. Only if Steven Tobolowsky is the guy that shows up. It's like,
yes,
that would be great.
But he's not Ned Ryerson. He looks like Ned Ryerson. Because he's like, I'm taking a form that you'll know, like the whole like you know.
Well, then that could be the whole thing. If we're doing that theory about like
good,
him being kind of the devil or him cursing,
yeah.
you know,
Yes.
like his character. Now maybe he like in real life the actor curses his whole career or something like that.
Only so I could get him to do a again that he did.
Is he still alive? Is that actor still alive?
Yeah. Oh
Yes,
yeah.
He's still around, for sure.
He was
He's
just
that
on
guy
Archer.
in everything.
Yeah, he was just in Archer, doing a voice in Archer, and
Okay, well
feels
then
like
yeah.
just yesterday he was in the HBO classic Dr. Jekyll and Ms. Hyde.
You could
oh my,
and
That's
oh
right.
my,
That's
God.
right.
you could totally
That's
do that.
right.
Mine
And-
is blown over there.
oh
Look at
my.
Yep.
And then the whole
Think
thing.
of his
I
Einhorn.
love you, Chris. I am going to profess my love on this show right now on February 2nd, 22, that I love Chris Stiles for mentioning one of the most forgotten movies of the 90s that everybody should watch. And that is
Yes.
Dr. Jekyll and Ms. Hyde.
That is
Yep, that was
right.
a good
That
movie.
is a fucking
So we do
classic.
know-
That's
we
right.
do
That's
know
right,
now-
Jazz.
Romance has
you were
begun.
there. You were there.
We do know that you
I
love
got a caulking
meatballs.
gun that could take care of that.
You love meatballs and you love Chris. So
So again, Ian's got great taste. I can't argue with any of that.
Except for that shirt.
Except for this shirt. Hey, you know, my docking shirt's at the cleaners, so I had to do what I could do.
I hope they use extra starch and ruin it.
So there are
But-
some. Oh, sorry.
don't worry, I'll let you
No, go.
borrow mine.
Yeah, jazz hands. Real quick, there is some stuff in the chat. There's some love for 90s Fox and 90s Chris Elliott, Cabin Boy, Get a Life, Andy Dick Show, Off the Chain.
Cabin Boy.
Oh, Cabin Boy, Andy Dick Show. Oh,
There's also some,
What
some
about-
judging on me for laughing through the suicide scenes.
what
So
about
I might be canceled before next
Well,
week.
Chris just got canceled. There we go.
Yep.
we forgot the Ben Stiller show.
Oh,
was
okay.
fun.
Yeah,
That-
I mean,
that
if we're
was
just gonna throw in the
great.
kitchen
That's-
sink, then yeah. We got
That's
the
how
skate,
we.
got-
That's how we met Andy Dick. Andy
Is that
Dick
really?
was
Is that
Ben
really
Stiller.
something? Is that really
Janine
something to
Garofalo?
celebrate? Do we celebrate knowing Andy Dick? Do we really?
He's a part of our lives, whether you like to admit it or not.
I don't think he
I-
wants to admit that he's part of this life.
he is the Kathy Griffin of Tom Green's, if that makes sense.
What?
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Andy Dick
I
is
get
the
it.
Kathy Griffin of Tom Green's.
I get it.
Yes, and Kid Rock is the Fred Durst of Ted Nugent's. We all know this. We all know it to be true. Search your feelings. So there are some pitches in the chat.
Everything
we
that's said, I could smell that sentence you just said. That's awful. That's awful.
That was
Daddy, would you
horrible.
like some sausages? Daddy, would you like some sausage?
Oh my God, we got to do Tom Green something on this. Maybe the Tom Green show
Freddie
on
got
future VCR
fingered.
Redux.
Release
So there are
the fury, Mitch.
So there are some pitches in the chat. Again, Sean Gold of Gold's Code says Groundhog Day 2. Rita is stuck in her loop and has to change her behavior to fall in love with Phil. So Rita's perspective. That's an interesting. That's a flip. That's like a 180. I would gladly watch. I love Andy McDowell. St. Elmo's Fire, Multiplicity, another Harold Ramis classic. So just
we can
so
see
many.
your disdain over there, Mickey.
And Sex
I'm
Lives
not
and
an Andy
Videotape
McDowell
is one of the best indie movies of the 80s and 90s, and Andy McDowell's fantastic, and the whole cast is flawless. So Andy McDowell's got the goods. Another pitch also from Sean's Gold. Groundhog Day 2, President's Day. In order to get rich, Phil sells his story and becomes a famous guru, but regresses into his old ways. He then becomes stuck in a loop again.
I like it.
I
I mean,
like
honestly, that'd be if you were doing a sequel, it would have to be Bill Murray.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, there's an exception.
Oh,
I want a
okay.
Groundhog's Day with Sinbad.
Oh,
No,
fuck
no,
yes.
no.
Take my goddamn money.
Take
Yeah.
my money.
How awesome would it be if he had to relive his life?
Look,
Oh,
we have
my
lost.
God.
We have lost way too many comedians in this past.
We gotta
years.
prop him
we need to
up.
fucking make this movie with Sinbad now.
I mean, but I'll be serious. Like literally, Sinbad is like one of the only lasting comics we've got. Like, we need to praise this man
Yes.
for lasting through it all, because either they got, the image of the comedian has been destroyed because of people that shall not be named, or they've been passing away. Like, we've got to protect Sinbad. Like, we have to.
Exactly. Send your money courtesy of Sinbad. Tell him it comes care of VCR Redux. Seriously, we need to protect this man. We need to make films with this man immediately. I've wanted House Guest 2 forever. We'll never get it because Phil Hartman's gone. But I think House Guest is just one of the greatest underrated 90s comedies ever. And I would be all about Sinbad having his own Groundhog Day. What are the stakes? Is he a comedian? Is he playing a comedian in the thing, or is he like a Kevin
do
Franklin?
That you could do that,
regular guy?
Or you could do it like, if you want to be meta about it, like it's Sinbad now, and he has to relive like some of his careers. I mean, for a while he wasn't doing anything, so he's like reliving his career.
Okay.
He's like,
you
can see like Sinbad like being all bad, because remember when Sinbad was doing those comedy specials and wearing those jumpsuits, those
the nylon jumpsuits,
and he was bad. I'm bad. And he was coming out, and he was schooling people on like Earth, Wind, and Fire and all this stuff. And so it's like him saying like, man, I was a bad cat back in the day.
Man,
all right. Can I just say though, just for the sake of argument, do we have the reboot remake conversation of a serious Groundhog Day?
It's worth talking about for sure.
Well, that would be, you could make, I mean, again, this had a lot of dark comedy in it. You could go really dark with this.
I feel like even if you go super duper dark, you still need to find laughs every now and again to lighten it up. Maybe not the same tone of laughs, but you gotta, like, every type of movie needs some laughs, even horror.
And I feel like if you redid Groundhog's Day, like remade it, made it darker and all that stuff, even with a few laughs, whatever, nowadays, I feel like Ricky Gervais would be casted in it.
Oh, you just lost me. You lost me on everything.
Ricky Gervais is awesome.
I hate Ricky Gervais. I'm sorry. And if he's watching, like, I'm sorry, I don't like you. And he'd be fine. He'd be fine with me saying that. That's the best part. That's the only thing I like about Ricky Gervais, is he'd be okay with me saying I don't like you.
So would Andy McDowell be okay with me saying I don't like you?
No, she would hate it. You're making her cry, Mickey. Knock it off.
We don't.
I almost would like to make her cry.
Andy McDowell.
She's
almost would like to make her cry.
She's fragile. She's very fragile.
She's a national treasure. And her and Sinbad both should be celebrated on a daily basis.
But I'm almost like, I'm almost tempted of a Benedict Cumberbatch serious Groundhog Day. I don't know why. Or Nicolas Cage.
How does that work though? I need to know more details about where your mind is. Benedict
literally you can take the script and just the tone. It's just a serious remake. Where it's every day he has to wake up, and it's
basically the same exact script, but it's just a different actor.
Yeah, and the trailer. It's Salisbury Hill. It's playing in the.
What if you did? If you were gonna go darker and make it whatever like that. So obviously there's that one, and I don't know what it is with Bill Murray and homeless guys, but it's another movie where he's trying to save a homeless guy. So like in Scrooge. You got the homeless guy that that freezes to death or whatever like that. So anyway, but like I almost feel like so he had to he wanted to save this guy, and it was kind of like it was there and then it was glossed over, whatever the case may be. But let's just say that in talking to Rita, and then you could make this different, whatever like that. But in talking to Rita, he finds out that she has some kind of disease, that she's gonna die. And now it's him, the dark comedy aspect of him falling in love with her and then trying to do everything he can to figure out a way to heal her or whatever the case may be. And he can go dark with it. You
have 10,000 years to relive. I'm sure he can become an actual doctor.
Oh my gosh. Man. What if it's lost in Groundhog Day?
But she keeps dying. She keeps dying now.
Imagine Bill Murray having to relive his life in Lost in Translation.
I love that movie. I love that movie. I would be fine seeing Scarlett Johansson 10,000 times.
But like,
much
you know, like,
better than Andy McDowell.
All right, that's enough. All right, there's no need to do that.
This is enough.
There's no need to pit two national treasures against each other like that. That's just wrong. All right, we don't need to grade them. They're both great artists, and we love them both. So I know they're both watching. Come on the show next week, guys.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a part of me that almost just thinks that a dramatic approach to it would be.
I kind of agree, honestly, that would be an interesting angle into it.
It would taint
that's more the
your
reboot,
image. Yeah, it would taint your image. I mean, most of us hardcores would be like, "That's not fucking Groundhog Day.
Right.
I don't like this shit." You know, like,
and you know,
I love how serious this fan is. It is a ticked off fan that went to this movie.
This movie has that kind of love.
He's the Randy Quaid from like Major League II. You know, this Groundhog Day, the poop thing, the stupid swing,
the grab your throat and choke thing. That's one of my favorite Randy Quaid roles ever. And I hope we have 3 fans like that on VCR Redux in the
just for Chris, that angry fan would be like, "What the fuck? They don't have Andy McDowell? I don't like this shit."
Oh my God, I love it.
Couldn't even get her to play the mom.
You're out of luck, Taylor. Your old Mother Hubbard, and only Vaughn's in the cupboard.
This is how Mickey gets mad at everybody. Just
because you want to shake the shit out of him.
Oh my God!
I got a parking ticket.
Talk about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We derailed this whole train. I forgot what we're doing. Groundhog Day.
Wow.
So this is the difficult part of it with Ian's pitch for me, is then you have to fucking find someone who fills Bill Murray's shoes without pissing off all the people that Mickey are talking about, the fans, you know, because there's always going to be those people.
The best is Jason Sudeikis.
Why that guy?
I can see that.
Because you bring the Ted Lasso group in, you bring the Horrible Bosses group in, and he's still comedic. Like, you know,
We Are the Millers. I'm just gonna drop that.
Yes,
that's the only good movie he's done, and it's only because Jennifer Aniston's in it.
All right, that.
Okay, that you're saying
That's a disclaimer.
I can imagine the scene that you love the most right now. So.
No, I mean, like, there's a lot of scenes I love the most. The Emma Roberts scenes too. I love it all. That's a good movie. He doesn't make very good movies. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I just think that his role in that movie proves that he's ready to lead to anchor a film. I think he could carry a film like this, and he could do it a little bit more dramatic and but also
okay. Well, that angry fan is me now. You know? You made me that angry fan.
All right, we lost Mickey, guys. So let me.
Fine, you get Will Arnett. Shut up. That's all you get now. That's your punishment. That is your timeout, Mickey. You take Will Arnett and go in the corner.
You know who else in that version might work? Bob Odenkirk. I just watched a movie he was in called Nobody. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, Bob Odenkirk could be interesting. Bob Odenkirk never did get that lead role.
How about Rainn Wilson?
And I'm telling you, watch Nobody. It's amazing. Christopher Lloyd crushes it.
That is interesting. You get The Office, either Rainn or Steve Carell. I could see Steve Carell.
I could see Steve Carell too. Yeah.
This could be a good remake, Steve Carell.
Upgrade.
Whoa. I love Steve Carell, but
or Jim Carrey, but just Jim Carrey would be too much like the Truman Show.
Well, then he did. And he kind of did Bruce Almighty. He kind of did that story arc with Bruce Almighty.
This is true. This is true.
I think it'd be too. I guess Evan Almighty did the same thing with Steve Carell though too. A little bit.
It's almost a shame that he's a late night host now, because I actually think Stephen Colbert would be an interesting choice as well.
That's interesting.
He is a very talented dude. He's not just some like late night, host guy. Like, people don't know he was on Stranger with Candy. He was in a lot of stuff. He was on The Daily Show. He had a long history of incredible.
Just know Jon Stewart. You leave Jon Stewart, and he's He's over there.
No, but I would not mind Craig Kilborn playing like a needle nose Ned type, like a really obnoxious army type.
Son of a. Oh
Yeah.
I love Craig Kilborn.
Nobody remembers Craig Kilborn.
I remember.
I
prefer.
I used to watch.
I love Jon Stewart. I think Jon Stewart's an amazing human being, but I prefer Craig Kilborn's Daily Show. It was a better show. It was funnier. It was actually like a comedy show and not just like, don't we all agree, guys? Let's high five each other.
I mean, I'll give you this. I do like my John Hanson / Greg Kinnear soup compared to he's soup with the community guy Joel
McHale.
Joel McHale. Yeah, I like Greg Kinnear.
I don't mind Joe McHale. I didn't mind, but
I don't mind it either. But if I preferred,
the show was way better when Greg Kinnear was.
Yeah, the gas station.
As far as the writing and stuff.
The gas station hot dog I want is the Greg Kinnear, Josh Hanson version.
Mm-hmm. So for a split second, though, when we were talking about it being more dark, obviously we won't ever have this opportunity, but I was thinking Bob Saget for like a brief second would be the great director
to do that.
Bob
Saget would have been the great director for it.
Yeah, he would have been a great director.
Norm Macdonald would have been good too.
Yeah.
Norm Macdonald would have been too. Like, I woke up today. Yeah, same day.
Yeah, and this broad here, she's all doing her thing. Yeah, on the maple toast, French toast there.
But I would love a whole boat of that. I would love a whole boat.
I love Norm though. Norm is incredible. So I do have some...
Note to self: don't wake up tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh man, and seeing him try to kill himself all those times. Oh God, he would come up with the funniest ways to do it.
Yeah, that's true. It would have been hilarious. We're fucked up because we're like, great suicide scenes. I can't wait to laugh at that.
Hey, you're the one that got canceled, pal, not us.
That's true. I won't be here next week. There'll be someone else in a Hawaiian shirt, much more capable than I am to host the show. So I have some like wild card pitches in there. I do want to get to them before we wrap it up, but I also want to touch on the chat real quick. A lot of Sinbad love. Dustin Nino says Sinbad's the Cherokee Kid is so underrated. That's actually
great.
Hush my mouth.
There's a Sinbad pitch. There's a Sinbad pitch in the chat from Gold's coach. Sean Gold says, pitch for Sinbad. Sinbad has to relive the worst day of his life. Jingle all the way.
I've forgotten you on that. Oh my goodness.
That made him like a big star too.
Also, Mike Saunders says Sinbad made me love Big Macs again, which I imagine has to be a House Gas reference, because that movie made me love McDonald's a lot longer than I should have.
Bye Bye Love.
Oh, Bye Bye Love. So
every time I watch Bye Bye Love,
Paul
I gotta go to McDonald's. That product placement worked.
I need to have a fucking Paul Reiser marathon like stat. It's got to be like Bye Bye Love, Aliens, and
it's a side note.
Beverly Hills Cop 2.
A side note, like I miss Paul Reiser. I mean, I liked when he came back in Stranger Things. I was like happy to see him in that, but like I miss Paul Reiser.
Yeah,
I told you this. Get out of here. This is not my locker.
This is not my office. You damn right it isn't. Inspector Todd, one of the greatest angry cop bosses ever. Also, Gold's Code says, I feel like every Wednesday here is Groundhog Day. Mike Saunders throws out the casting suggestion of maybe Simon Pegg in Ian's version, which I think would actually be interesting. And Lori Taylor with a very interesting pitch. How about Cheech and Chong go on Groundhog Day and get the groundhog high, or Bill Murray get high? That might be funny. Actually, I think Cheech and Chong on Groundhog Day would be amazing.
It would be.
Oh my God. Actually,
right? I mean, every day is Groundhog Day for them, right?
Where was that movie?
Make it now.
Where's that missing movie from 1983? That was the fourth one we should have had. Not Things Are Tough All Over. Damn it.
That's how you follow up Nice Dreams. God damn it.
That's right. Seriously.
It's a lot better than the Corsican Brothers.
Corsican Brothers is probably the worst.
How dare you even talk about that?
Well, if I'm gonna get canceled, I'm gonna go all out, my friend.
You get canceled because you talk about the Corsation Brothers.
Corsation Brothers?
And that was it, Corsican?
Yeah.
Are they gonna bring their prom dates? Like, of course.
Are they going to bring their prom dates from Mr. I'm always on a date? Yeah, you're lecturing me on that one. Jeez.
So, all right,
what a wet fart. Anyway, the point is, that movie sucked. We all know it sucked. You paid to go see that movie, and you knew it sucked. I don't want to hear it.
I didn't pay to go see that. I saw that on HBO.
Backtrack.
Well, you still paid.
Again, not sponsored by HBO, folks. Right here.
My mom paid. I didn't pay.
My mom.
To back it up just a hair, I do just want to say again, Lori, that is an excellent pitch by Lori Taylor. Thank you so much for tuning in and playing along. So my wild card pitches, because we've thrown just about everything but the kitchen sink around. The only other things I can think of to do, and this is one I actually had like maybe last night or earlier today, was we were talking about Chris Elliott before, and here's a man who's never really gotten the chance to anchor a film since fucking Cabin Boy. And I think
that's because of Cabin Boy, Chris.
I was about to say that movie did the damage.
You know what? Those pipes are still clean. It did its job. No, but honestly, I think Chris Elliott could carry like a direct-to-video sequel to Groundhog Day, you know, or like a Hulu original version.
What is this? 1999? This is that Blockbuster Groundhog 2.
Who's in There's Something About Mary? Why not?
Now streaming on HBO Max. Groundhog 2, starring Chris Elliott.
Groundhog Day 2, get a life.
Said no one ever.
You get a lot of people going like, who the fuck is Chris Elliott?
It's that little boy from ET all grown up. All right. So maybe that's not the greatest of pitches in the world.
That's the best. No, you great. Stick with this.
I'm going down swinging, damn it.
I want you to make this poster tomorrow and you get it to Chris Elliott. I don't care how you do it.
It just struck me as kind of like he's the Jesus. Like, remember they did the Big Lebowski spinoff on the Jesus character?
Did you say Chris Elliott is Jesus?
He's the Jesus, like in Lebowski.
You just got canceled 3 times in this show.
I am getting annihilated. Well, I guess I can't top this because you guys are gonna piss your fucking pants. A sidebar for those of you watching at home: making Mickey lose his fucking shit like this is one of my favorite pastimes. And we've closed down restaurants and bars because he couldn't stop laughing, and it's just one of my favorite things ever. So maybe that's how we close out this show. I don't know. But there is one more pitch.
Jesus.
There is one more pitch in the chat I do want to touch on. A comment and a pitch. Mike Saunders says Corsican Brothers is the Princess Bride for stoners, which is a very, very interesting thought. I never would have put that together, but I think you're actually pretty spot on with that. Also, Sean Gold from Gold's Code, breathe. Okay, breathe. That's cool. Sean Gold says Punxsutawney is where Walter White hides out. It's a blue magical time in breaking Groundhog Day. That actually is fascinating.
That would have been.
Or what if Charlie Sheen is reliving his worst day, the day that he found out he was HIV positive?
Or the videos, the tiger's blood videos and everything.
Tiger's blood, yeah, or whatever. He's getting everyone in Punxsutawney high on tiger's blood.
The 4th time in the show, Chris has been canceled.
Yeah, just annihilated. The only other things I thought was maybe to have somehow Punxsutawney Phil play a crucial role, that somehow he's the villain and he's the one behind all this. And it's like the horror movie Groundhog Day from the Monster Squad. You find out that really Phil has enslaved this whole town and it was a trick. It's not actually February 2nd over and over again. They're all just like crazy people doing this to Bill Murray. But that's way really dark and fucked up. Again, just throwing spaghetti at the walls at this point. I think you guys give much better.
Spaghetti, that was ramen noodles.
Ramen, whatever, SpaghettiOs, I don't know.
You're just throwing up mom spaghetti.
Lori Taylor in the chat says, "Dude is turning blue, so breathe." I don't know if that's Ian or if that's Mickey.
That's me.
but-
That's me. That's me.
I was gonna say, I can see it. I can see it.
I'm sorry.
Mickey's got a date later, so he's getting into full Watchmen mode. He turns blue so he can Dr. Manhattan that ass later on.
That's all Klink.
If I'm gonna get fucking canceled, I'm gonna get fucking canceled. Damn it! What an episode!
No,
of VCR
look,
Redux.
I'm all right. It's the shadowing of the camera. I'm okay. I'm all right.
Oh my god, what a fucking episode of VCR Redux, folks. I hope you had as much fun as we did. Before we wrap it up,
There's that
Jazz,
possible.
if that's possible. Before we wrap it up, Jazz, Mickey, Ian, do you guys have anything coming up in the works you want to let people know about? Rick Barth and the Line related, Phantom Spotlight related?
I just come back tomorrow when we talk about Boba Fett.
Ah, that's right, Boba Fett. Don't miss out. Like
Can I
am.
have some Boba Fett in my Boba Fett TV show? Would it hurt a little bit?
I don't know.
I said it, internet. Come after me.
I'm not saying spoilers. No spoilers here. You gotta come back tomorrow.
I did the 90s ooh thing, so maybe I'll get canceled for that.
Fine.
Well,
Jeez.
since there's, you never know who's going to be hosting the show next week, but you guys might want to tune in next Wednesday at 9 p.m. when we proclaim the dishes are done for our Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead episode. As always, if there's a particular movie or TV franchise that you want us to cover in a future episode, let us know in the comment section on YouTube. And since you're already doing that, you might as well go ahead, like, subscribe, and follow Fandom Spotlight, the Hollow Knight Network, Pop Culture Punk, and Rick Barth and the Line. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those laser discs, and we'll see you at the movies.